Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And our guest today is Perez. She is a pro-aging champion on a mission to normalize aging for women through highly curated content and women-driven brands. I can't wait to unpack this. Welcome to the show.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Teri.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive in. Let's hear a little bit for folks that do not know you yet. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started, and let's do a quick dive in here.
That's a big question to ask someone who
right out of the gate.
Right, especially someone who's as old as I am. There's a lot to tell. So
oh please. For folks that have not seen her, she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I mean, please go check us out on YouTube as well, so you can just see how amazing she looks.
Thank you. Thank you for that compliment. I am learning to take compliments as I get older. So I will say thank you. And yes. you are a beautiful woman as well.
Well, thank you.
So, how did I get here? Right. I think like a lot of us, I did all the things we're supposed to do in our 20s, checked all the boxes, did the education, got the boy, got the house, got the kid, checked up all the boxes. And then whoa, when I started going through menopause, which is by the way, a normal physiological transition that occurs to about, 50% of the population that walks on the planet.
I was like, wait, can we get out of this? Like, can we check a box to get out of menopause?
Every other human goes through menopause, right? It's not, listen, it shouldn't be a mystery. And it sure as heck shouldn't be difficult to find resources and ways to help yourself. Sadly, or maybe not sadly, because I wouldn't be here today had it gone so smoothly.
Right.
If there was a symptom, Teri, I seem to have it. Yeah. I know a lot of women who go through the transition. They barely noticed it happened. It's in the rear view mirror, and they didn't have any of the symptoms. From 30 pounds, extra 30 pounds, to newfound anxiety, which I had never had before. Yeah. The sleep, the hots, the night sweats, the hot flashes, right? You can go on and on and on. And it seemed like I had them all, including vertigo.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Okay. So
that sounds awful. Like I've had moments where I've had like this intense pain, and I think it might've been a migraine for 32 seconds. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have such a profound respect for anyone that has vertigo, migraines. I mean, I couldn't even last for like 30 seconds, let alone like people that have these for hours or days, Yeah.
And
so and it's so funny because like last night, my husband and I were at dinner, and the ladies behind us, they were an older ladies, and they were talking about menopause, and it was just really funny because you could just hear, they were pretty loud. And so it was just, and I was just kind of like taking this in, and even last night, it was just interesting. But I think too, for a lot of people, it's almost like pregnancy. I don't know about you, but when you were pregnant, not a lot of people talked about what really happens. It's like, oh, we go to the hospital, we have this beautiful baby, we bring it home, and they're like, oh, but they leave out this entire section of like, what does delivery look like? And I think that's true from like menopause too. I think women are just like, we kind of are on this lone ranger road, from this. And so I just think it doesn't get talked about as much. And here you are, you're paving a path here.
Yes, because don't even get me started on the concept of medical misogyny, because The reality is that the medical world doesn't really know female physiology as well as they should by now.
Right.
We weren't even included in clinical trials until the 1990s. Let
What?
that let that sink in for a little bit.
Okay, wait, 1990?
Yes, ma'am. That's when we started being included in clinical
Holy
trials.
buckets.
Yeah. And one of the reasons, I mean, they
Wow.
stated a couple of reasons. One was that, they just viewed us as little men. And then and
That's
then
so funny.
and then when they dug in deeper, which was contrary to the original, they viewed us as little men. The other side of the argument was that we're way too complicated because of our reproductive system and our hormonal, right?
We've got some unique qualities going on here. We do, give life.
we can make a human.
Right. I was at my live event a couple last week actually, and we were talking about that and how my doctor says that when she went to school, they actually spend 1 day on per day for the female when they're pregnant. And it's like she's like, I can't even believe that we have more disabilities and things like that on the planet, because she's like, like the ears, for example, start down here and they migrate up to where they're supposed to go. She's like, I mean, the amount of stuff that's happening in the body, and us women are, we give that, that is our, and so we are a little bit more complicated because, I mean, look how freaking amazing we are.
We're a much more complex organism.
We
Absolutely.
are, yes.
Because we are designed to make a human, deliver that human, and then keep that human alive, and not keep the human alive, but have the human grow.
Yeah.
With nothing else. With nothing else for the first 6 months, right? All you're doing is breastfeeding that child, or 3. I can't remember how long before you give the kid cereal, because it's that far back in my rear view mirror that I blocked it out, right? It's like, oh my God, that was so another lifetime ago. I blocked that out. But yeah, so what happened was when I started going through that particular change, the menopause change, and I was miserable. I was a shell of a human. I was a terrible mother. I wasn't a very good partner or friend. And worst yet, I was a terrible Jacqueline. I was a terrible person for myself.
Yeah.
I looked at the reality of what I was facing. And in my early 50s, I was looking at another 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. Who knows, right? I thought to myself, right. But then I thought to myself, is this how I want to spend the next 30, 40, 50 years? Because this is pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And when I went to go try to find information to help myself, and including the medical profession, I kept coming up with zeros. Basically, basically get over it. It's just menopause. Your hair's going to fall out. You're going to have hot flashes. I'm like, no, you're going to get fat. You're going to have back fat. Like, no. I refuse to accept the only answer. Pardon?
I said, is that what's happening to me right now? Like,
it might be. I don't know how old you are or whatnot, but yeah, it might be. And in hindsight, I now can identify symptoms as early as my early 40s that were perimenopausal symptoms. No doctor ever helped me define them as such, or gave me any ideas or notions about how I could address them or mitigate them or prevent them.
Yeah.
And I had to figure it out all by myself. And it took me years. You name it, I probably tried it. From supplement, intermittent fasting, drink, don't drink, exercise, don't exercise, put myself to bed earlier, get myself up earlier, make myself lie down. You name it, I tried it. Supplements, patches. None of it worked.
Yeah.
None of it worked. And I finally found the solution that works for me.
Okay. I want to know this magic wand. What's this magic wand trick?
Well, it's not a magic wand for everyone, Teri. It's my magic wand. Yeah. And that is bioidentical hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
I finally went that route. And I'll tell you right now, there's so much misinformation on hormone replacement therapy for women based on a study that was done a very long time ago that has been debunked. I really want your audience to do the research if they're interested.
Yeah.
Because yes, not everyone is a good candidate. I'm not suggesting that. But there are a lot more good candidates than there are not good candidates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, it has improved the quality of my life in such a way that I am not exactly sure what you would have to tell me for me to let them go. Because even if you told me I was shortening my life span, I would tell you right now I would still keep them because I would prefer to live a wider life,
Yeah. And a
the
higher
width,
quality
the
of,
width of my life,
yeah.
correct, than the length of a life.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think this is important to note, like every single one of us is a very different being. And,
Yes.
we, as
Yes.
women, are really complex, and our complexities are unique to each of us. And therefore,
Yeah,
some things that might work for you may not work for me, and vice versa. And so just
exactly.
finding the resource. So I'm going to make an assumption here, but is that, I mean, based on what you've shared, you're, pro aging champion, like,
Yeah.
do you have these resources that are available for folks that kind of look, and you have some resources for folks that are in this boat? Because I think there's a lot more people in this boat than will admit, or because I think it is almost like there's like a taboo around even talking about the topic.
Yet currently today, more women than ever in the history of humankind, more women than ever are either in perimenopause, going through menopause, or postmenopausal.
Wow.
Because if you think about it,
yeah,
in the early 1900s, the average lifespan of a white woman was 51.
Yeah.
For a woman of color, for a person of color, it was even less. Sure, there were women that lived to be in their 60s, 70s, 80s, even over 100. Of course there were.
Yeah,
But
they were the outliers.
Collective, but as a group, we
Mhm.
didn't exist. So there wasn't a lot of modeling for what menopause looked like and what a life after menopause can look like. Yeah, and it's not just the physiological changes, Teri, okay? Because get ready. I'm not exactly sure where you are in the age spectrum, but here are some other things that come along with this second half of life, or third act, or second act, whatever you want to call it. If you've had a family, then you may be facing an empty nest, or you're still dealing with teenagers and you're also taking care of your aging parents.
Yes.
You might be dealing with the fact that your teen stole your car at 3 a.m. in the morning, only to be awakened by a phone call from the facility that your mother fell and broke her hip. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens at this time of life is that a lot of women get divorced.
Yes.
The majority of divorces, so I just recently heard a stat that 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
Interesting.
But yeah, I know, isn't that? And then the majority of those divorces are also women over 50. So there's a lot of women transitioning out of long-term marriages.
Yeah.
What are the implications of that, right? What if you want to get back into the dating world? And if you haven't dated in 20, 30, 40 years, how do you do that? How do you date with a dry vagina?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, and I think even like with divorces for entrepreneurs, and that's a lot of our audience right here that listen to this podcast, is that a lot of entrepreneurs, so high powered, high achieving women that are in that 50 plus range, are seeking divorce. And you're right, now they're going back into the dating scene. And how do we navigate that dating scene with everything else that you just described that's on our plate, let alone a business?
So much. And, women weren't necessarily taught, good money management skills at least the boomers and the Gen Xers, right? Because it wasn't until the 70s, the 1970s, I was alive. It wasn't until the 1970s where women could get their own credit cards. Yeah. Or, without their husband's signature. People, this isn't that long ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So I wanted to create a repository, a place, a haven, some sort of digital platform where we could house relevant, empowering, actionable information.
Love it.
That's what I set out to do out of sheer frustration. So the reality is that I built this platform, and it's called Cool Life. I built it completely for selfish reasons. I built it because I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt underserved.
And I think that's how, I think most entrepreneurs that are listening to this would agree that our calling gets woken up on our path, for this impact of like, okay, there's a need that's not being served. How can I step into it? And if it rings true for you and is passionate, and a lot of times we have to go through the worst of the worst. And it sounds like yours was one of those cases where it was just like, I've tried everything, done everything. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed with the system. Now, what can I do? And that's that entrepreneurship, mindset that you have, is like, I've got to figure out the solution because I know I'm not alone. And that's a lot for most of us, is like, there is a need and let's follow that. And so what a brilliant way to, shine your light in a bigger way. Because I think every one of us that are, feeling called to do something great, it's having this huge impact. And so, especially now that I've gone back and said this a couple of times, where, this energy that we're in right now is really, shifting, and we're becoming more aware of, things, and we're being, called to do, and we seek out resources that can be easier, that it can be, this is a natural part of the life cycle. And what if it could be easier? What if there's better resources out there for us to take care of
Yeah,
ourselves?
exactly. I mean, I agree. But guess what? I am not an expert in all things midlife and beyond.
Right.
Right,
It's your
right. So
experience. Yeah.
there's just so many things that I can share about and provide insider wisdom, but I don't
Well, you're
have.
also a connector. You're also a connector of like,
Right?
okay, hey, go seek out this information. Go do your due diligence here. This is a resource, right?
Yeah.
Like, I see that as a part of your passion, is like, connecting people to the right resources.
Yeah, and I'm bringing them the right resources. So what I've been doing, in I call it market research. I was going out there to see who is talking, who is currently addressing these topics, these opportunities and challenges that are unique to the season of life. Who's already out there? And I would approach them, talk to them, let them know what I was doing, let them know my mission. Most of them. Occasionally I'd get a woman who said, yeah, that doesn't sound like that's a good fit for me. But almost everyone got very excited and nodded. And this was, Teri, this was before the website that you see now has been professionally done. But what I'm talking about was a website that I cobbled together with, chewing gum, Band-Aids, and buckets of tears, right?
Right.
Literally
Yes.
buckets of tears, had no social media presence, I was the only one populating articles. It was a pretty pathetic looking site. Yet these women, the OGs, my OGs, the original
The original, yeah.
pro life women, they could see past it and they got what my vision was. And I'm very grateful to them because they said yes when I had very little to offer back.
Yeah.
Just a promise that I would do my level best and work my ass off to make sure that their word got in front of the eyeballs of the women who really need it.
Yeah.
But fast forward, and I think I'm at 65 industry thought leaders from around the world. As a matter of fact, I'm about to onboard a thought leader who deals with mother wounds. So like trauma from the mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
That is her area of expertise and specialty. And she is in Zurich, Switzerland. We have women from all over the world, New Zealand, Spain, you name it. And they're providing their wisdom, their expertise, they're giving tips and advice. And in addition, if you want more, you can contact them directly because we give you access to who they are, explain who they are, give you glimpses of what kind of individual they are, what they represent, who they are. If I say who they are one more time, like seriously? Okay.
You're all good. Yes. But powerful. So really that's all about building your community, right? And you have this, force of incredible people, these influencers, these movers and the shakers of the world supporting your mission. And as a result of that, you're going to have you're already having an incredible impact out there.
I know, but how lucky am I? Like,
Yeah.
how did I get that lucky?
Yeah.
Right? That I got that many women to say yes to me.
Yes.
I wouldn't be here without them. I mean, I say that I built Cool Life, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
You know, it belongs to all of us. It belongs to all of them.
Yeah.
I'm just the steward of it. Right?
Yeah. I love it. That's beautiful. Okay. So let me ask you this before we wrap up. I mean, we could sit here and talk to you all day. What tip or tool or strategy do you have for women that are, and I know this is I'm gonna broaden this up a bit, but that are going through these, our physiological changes, whether they're premenopausal or in the menopause area, like where can, what is something that they can actually from this podcast take in and implement into their lives today?
Well, first, I want them to know and realize that whatever they're feeling is quote unquote normal.
Yes.
That is why I'm out to normalize aging. I mean, I'm serious. You're not a freak. There are a gajillion other women feeling the exact same thing, going through the exact same thing. And one of the reasons I built Cool Life is because I didn't want other women to feel alone and isolated and worried that whatever was going on with them was so peculiar that they needed to keep it to themselves and just suck it up. You don't need to keep it to yourself. You don't need to just suck it up. Pardon?
I will even say onto this, because I've had a lot of clients that have come to me and they're like, I feel like a crazy person. I go tell my doctor that XYZ is happening. And the doctor tells me it's all in my mind. And I want to, second your passion here by saying, we know our bodies the best. And so it's nobody else's. I mean, like, we've got to trust and honor what we're feeling inside, what we know is changed or shifted or whatever. We got to trust that, because nobody else from outside our body can tell us yes or no. And so keep seeking out people, resources, until you have someone that can hear you and really understand what's going on.
I went through probably 5 medical professionals before I found one, and she is a woman. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not see male doctors. Don't see them. Unless I absolutely have to. So I had an accident, a terrible accident, and I was given this neurologist, and he happened to be a man, but I was in the, I didn't have a choice. But from when I look for medical professionals, unless there is a hardcore reason why I need to be seen by a man, I will work my ass off to find a woman. And if you go out there and just Google studies on patients and longevity, women doctors, their patients live longer.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's interesting.
Yeah, their patients live longer on average. Just go Google, life expectancy of a patient from a male doctor versus a female doctor. It's
interesting.
Right.
I've never heard that before, but that's interesting.
Right. And if anybody tells you it's in your head, I don't care what their title is, fire them.
There you go. Fire them.
Fire them.
Yes. Yeah. Cause I don't think we ever, we don't have to question ourselves. We know, and we got to trust that. And I'm all about, helping build people's intuition. And, if we hear someone else saying, no, that's all in your head, that's not possible. You're right. It's time to be done, because, find the folks that are going to support and understand and hear you at the end of the day. I love it.
Yep.
Any other tools or strategies for them?
The other thing that I feel happens to a lot of us, and I struggled with this, was the notion of having everything perfect before you turn the light on anything, whatever that is. And I'm letting you know right now that I have made so many mistakes over the last 5 years in my business, because I go way before I'm ready.
Yeah.
I go way before I'm ready. That is my attitude and my perspective. I throw it out there. It's almost like spaghetti on the wall. Did it stick? Did it not stick? If it doesn't stick, I kind of sweep it under the rug and move on. Right. But you won't know until you try it. And I think a lot of us suffer from this analysis paralysis. And it ends up making it so that we do less.
Yeah.
And we can do more. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I agree.
Because honestly, nobody else is looking at your stuff the way you're looking at your stuff.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right?
Do it before you're ready, ladies. Do it before you're ready.
Yeah. Go before you're ready, and trust yourself. Because what is the worst thing that can happen? You decide differently and do something different.
Yeah. You make a difference.
You redecide. Just redecide.
Love it.
And no one's really keeping score. You think they are, but the only one keeping score is you.
Yes. I love that. That's a great.
Because everyone's too preoccupied with their own stuff to worry about you, man. That's just they're not. We are way so hubristic to think that other people really are paying that close attention to what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's really not happening.
And that's so gold. That is so true. Okay, Jack, where can people connect with you, find out more about Cool Life? And Cool Life is not spelled, the way we think it is. So will you give out the website and have people connect? And we'll put these in the show notes as well.
Yes, I spelled it all cattywampus because COOL, you can't really put a trademark on COOL. It's just a regular old adjective.
Yeah.
But if you go to the Urban Dictionary and you type in COOL, you will find a synonym. And that is the way I chose to spell my business. And that is cool spelled with a K, KUEL. So it's KUEL life.com, because my contention is that there is a significant and huge chasm between mini skirts and depends adult diapers. And it's in that space where we get to live our cool life, however we define it.
Yes, I love it. That's brilliant. Oh, you've been just a breath of fresh air today. Thank you for, stumbling upon and, finding your path to impact. Can't wait to stay in touch and connect with you further. Please go to her website, reach out to her and connect. And I can't wait to see what you continue to create.
Thank you so much, Teri.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.